Would a tortoise actually steal a toy from a dog? Some tortoises can be so aggressive they can actually back down a 70-pound dog. Uh-oh, he's guarding the ball. Angus, get your ball. Did he take your ball? It's okay, Gil. Angus, get your ball. Hurry up. Get your ball. Get your ball. Come on, look. Get your ball. Hurry up. Go behind him. Good job. But more on this interesting behavior later. All right, so in continuing with trying to get all these animals outside for the season, next up is our Sonoran desert tortoise, who goes by the name Swift. And Swift is actually walking around in here right now because we don't have an indoor enclosure for them. He's actually been hibernating all this time in a closed-in bin that he was safe in for the winter. A lot of people that keep desert tortoises actually do hibernate them that way. And he was sound asleep. So what's cool is ZooMed, our friends over at ZooMed, who is the leading supplier of all of your reptile products out there, has sent us some pretty awesome gifts, which is going to speed up the process and getting Swift out there. So today, I'm going to put together this awesome, brand new product that they've come out with, which is a tortoise house. But in addition to it being a house that Swift can go into and hide, they've also given us a heater for it. And that's important because he is in fact a desert tortoise, and this is New Jersey. Oh boy. Check it out, Swift. He's over here exploring right now. See that? That may look like you, but that is not you. That is a sulcata tortoise. Different part of the world. Similar habits. So this is going to be plenty of room because it is 45 inches long. So he will have plenty of room to go up into this thing and hide. And with the heater in it, he'll be safe. Wow. This is nice. So I'm going to get all these pieces out, figure out how to put it together. Shouldn't be too hard.
What about all the empty screw holes in the bottom of the front panel?
Which small screws? Come on, man. What did I do? Stop it. Door's supposed to be the other way. This way. Just so you guys know. Hey! It's not ZooMed. It's me.
You want my opinion? Is that what you're... Okay, hang on.
Oh, God. I need air real quick while you figure that out.
I figure?
Well, you know, whatever you want. I think I need help. What is happening? This is gonna just go on the bottom, that's all. So this is the habitat heater. This is gonna go inside this. The lid will be closed. There's a vent that I can open or close depending on how cold it might be outside. And when it comes to the desert tortoise, because it's such an arid dwelling species, they can't take constant rain. Now, we don't get rain like we get in Florida up here in New Jersey, but we do get a significant amount of it, especially here in the spring. So it would be much better to get Swift outside so he can enjoy the favorable days, and by having this enclosure that he can go inside, warm up, and stay in there if I need to lock him up in it, that's going to just be all around beneficial for him. And it's a nice, safe way to keep a desert tortoise in an area where they are not native. Now, while this is awesome for something like a desert tortoise, it would not be something you'd want to use for something like a Mediterranean tortoise. So your Hermans, Greeks, and Marginateds, or Russians, for example, those animals are fully equipped to deal with elements, even in areas like in New Jersey, where if it's rain or it's cool or unseasonably cool, the animals will respond to that. And then they will also respond again to the favorable triggers, which will bring them back up out of the ground or out of whatever refuge they choose. But something like a desert tortoise is a very sensitive species if it's not actually living in its native range. Swift was a rescue. He was surrendered to us, so we got to do everything we possibly can for him to keep him safe. Now, the other thing about something like this is you might be wondering, is he going to be trapped in that heat? Well, no, this is only going to take up a part of that enclosure, so he can move away from it if he wants. And let me tell you, The desert tortoise certainly can take a very high amount of heat, way more than something like a Herman's tortoise could. So we'll install that once we get the unit outside into his enclosure. And what's also going to help is this. This is the brand new ZooMed ReptiTemp dimming thermostat, which will actually help control the temperature, because it's a thermostat, of that heating pad. So once he's out there, let's say the temperatures rise, which happens in the spring. They will get really warm and then go back down to being cool and unfavorable again. This thermostat will help stop this heater from continuously blasting out heat. It's all about making them safe. And all of these new, up-to-date, state-of-the-art reptile products are making things better and safer for reptile and keeper. This inquisitive dude right here is Swift. He's a Sonoran desert tortoise. He's one of the two more well-known desert tortoise species. There's also the California desert tortoise. But what's interesting about Swift is he is a member of the genus Gophers. And gophers are those American tortoise species. So let's back up for a minute here. Swift just actually backed up too. You might be confused here. Hold on, there's box turtles in America, but there actually are tortoises too? Yes, we have the genus of true tortoises, which are the gopher species. So that's the gopher tortoise, the desert tortoises, the Texas tortoise, the Goods thorn scrub tortoise, and also the Bolson tortoise. These are all protected tortoise species, some of which are endangered, some of which are not yet, but very close. And they receive the highest level of protection. So these animals cannot be exported out of our country. They basically can't even be sent across state lines without proper paperwork. So Swift here was a 100% rescue. And what happens is, sometimes people go visit these southwestern or western states in the United States and they come across one of these. They think it will make a great pet. They take it home. They later find out that they weren't supposed to have it, or they find out it's too much to take care of, and then it ends up in a rescue situation. So Swift started his life all the way out in the Southwest, and over all those years he made his way here, and then we were asked to adopt him, which is why we have him. He's an amazing, inquisitive tortoise species, and just look at his eyes, those beautiful yellow irises. It's almost like you can tell he's like problem solving. Even right now, I've got a good close eye on him. Casey's right in front of the table here filming, so there's no chance of him getting injured, but he actually knows not to go over the edge. It's pretty smart for a tortoise if you think, because a lot of people see them as deliberate lumbering animals, and in some cases they are, but in other cases they are very, very smart up here. Swift species is in decline, and one of the things that they are extremely vulnerable to in nature is mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is a genus of bacteria that lack cell walls, which makes them very resistant to antibiotics. In tortoises like the desert tortoise, this usually manifests and presents itself as some kind of respiratory infection. So these tortoises will profusely blow bubbles out their nose, they might have discharge in the mouth, they can become lethargic, and while many of them can live long lives with it, sensitive wild populations of desert tortoises and even other tortoise species can fall victim to it quickly. They don't have the antibodies to help them, and they end up dying. So it is assumed that these harmful mycoplasmas can actually wipe out populations. And when it comes to a tortoise like the desert tortoise that is already in serious decline, you can see just how bad that could be. So Swift lives alone. He does not live with any other tortoise, and we make sure that his pen is away from anything else. Generally speaking, everybody here at GST is very healthy, but you don't want to take a chance, because when it comes to veterinary medicine and truly understanding what's going on with these animals, we've barely scratched the surface. These are primitive creatures that will take eons from now to really truly understand everything that goes into how to treat them and understanding these diseases that they carry, some of which are extremely rare and we're only just starting to discover. The Sonoran desert tortoise, not unlike its California cousins, is a robust, brawny species, and they're actually very territorial. So this species is equipped to handle the desert just fine. They can go very prolonged periods without any water at all. They do get some water content from the food they eat, but not only from that, and they actually will battle it out for territorial and breeding rights. And they do that by using these big gular scoots right here. So when you looked at the front of Swift, you will see this protrusion. This is the gular scoot. They use this to joust. The males will battle it out and fight and fight and fight, and the victor will flip the loser over and unfortunately leave him to bake in the sun. And if he cannot right himself or pivot against something, unfortunately, he will burn up and perish in the sun. But Swift doesn't have to do that here. Instead, he takes his aggression out on me or our dogs. And he does that mostly by bobbing his head. So when we get close to him or we go into his enclosure, he starts aggressively bobbing his head at us. He doesn't hesitate to come right up to us, and he will chase our dogs out of the pen constantly. And he actually will guard a ball from one of the dogs. So Angus, our black lab, tends to drop his ball in Swift's enclosure from time to time, and Swift will actually go up to the ball, kind of get it behind him, and just sit there and bob his head at Angus. Sure, if Angus wanted to, he could mess up Swift pretty hardcore, but our dogs are trained to not do that. They know that they have to protect these animals here at GST, but it's pretty funny to see how this little tortoise pushes back a 70-pound lab over a ball. So this is what I was talking about before. Here is another member of the famous American genus Gophorus, and this is the smallest of the gopher species. This here is Iris. She is a Texas tortoise, also called Berlander's tortoise, and you can see that she is fully grown at really about 7.5 inches. So that's a big difference here to Swift, and Swift species can get larger. Male desert tortoises have been known to reach 16 inches. So you can see there is diversity in the size and some other traits, even though these tortoises have very similar appearances, especially as far as color goes. And all the gopher species are more of a uniform coloration. You peed all over me. Thank you. Can I have a napkin? And that helps them blend in with their usually desert-like environments. Now, what you just saw Iris do, she relieved herself. She peed on this table. And that's actually really good for you guys to see, because that is the #1 reason why you should never disturb a wild gopher species of any kind. So if you're walking around somewhere in Texas or New Mexico and you come across one of these guys, not only are they protected, so you really shouldn't be handling them without permits, but if you were to pick one of them up, it's going to get scared and it's going to empty its reserves and it's going to pee all over the place. When it comes to these arid or desert type tortoise species, they do not know when they're going to get hydration again. So you could actually be sentencing these animals to an early death because they will void their systems, no longer have reserves, and if they're about to go through a long period without any way to get a significant amount of hydration back into themselves, well, put 2 and 2 together. Something could happen. These are our tortoises here under captive management under 24/7 care. So all I have to do is soak Iris and she will be able to gain all those reserves back. Plus, here in New Jersey, she will get a good amount of rain where she can drink from that. So don't have to worry about that there, but think twice before you go disturb a wild tortoise. Observe them from a distance. They don't care about you, but we do care about them, and there's nothing wrong with taking photos or videos of them, but other than that, you should leave them be. What's up, Swift? This is Iris. Yeah, these two will not get to meet. While we know or we assume that they are both very healthy animals, you never know if somebody could be carrying something. And again, with these gopher species being so sensitive to something like a mycoplasma, it is best for these two to completely live separate lives. And that's exactly what they do indoors and outdoors here. Not to mention, if Swift were to try to be aggressive towards Iris, which at some point he probably would, or he would at least try to breed with her, he could hurt her pretty badly because you can see just how much bigger he is. So don't be fooled. Even though these tortoises look very similar and they are part of the same gopherish genus, they are in fact very different animals. And there's other animals in the United States that are quite different from them that may have confused some of you viewers in the past or others out there, and that would be the box turtles. The box turtles, remember, those are members of the pond turtle family. They have slightly webbed feet, which means they are equipped to spend quite a bit of time in water, and they are members of the Emydid family alongside the painted turtles and red-eared sliders. But there does happen to be a desert box turtle, and its second name is Sonoran box turtle. You guys ready for some turtle facts? You guys ready for some turtle facts?
You're gonna hurt yourself, Loon.
I'm not gonna hurt myself.
Yeah, that lower back's gonna be feeling those
I feel
kicks.
it in my lower back. I feel it in my...
Can you pick up those turtles and like talk about them?
Yes. And do you want me to come over to you?
Yes, please.
Can I sit?
I don't care.
Thank you. All right, take a seat here. These are desert box turtles. Now, at one point, they were considered a full subspecies of the ornate box turtle, and their scientific name was Terrapene ornata luteola. They've since been demoted to being considered the same thing as the ornate box turtle. It is not hard to tell that these are very different animals. So I consider them their own subspecies. There are a few physical traits that separate the desert from the ornate, and generally speaking, they have a reddish brown shell with finer lines, or as they get older, they actually lose the lines. Way less of that on the carapace when you compare them to the ornate. And they're also usually a little bit bigger and also shaped a little bit different. These turtles are very equipped for a desert life, but they are still not tortoises. These are not to be confused with swift or iris or any other gopherous or tortoise species in the world. These are through and through a member of the terrapene genus, which is the box turtles. So these two, same genus as Rockalina and Otis, just a different type of box turtle. So the desert box turtle spends much of its life underground in forms or burrows where it can subject itself to humidity. So that's an interesting point there, because even though this animal is a desert animal, it still requires hydration, and in a desert-like environment where it's very scarce to find hydration, they know where they are safest. So they will subject themselves to an underground area where it is cooler, more forgiving, and where they can soak up that hydration just from being in a humid environment. Here in New Jersey, these animals do really well outside, but not unlike the way we keep our tortoises, we give them a cold frame or greenhouse so that they can thermoregulate on those less than favorable days. We thought spring was showing up early, but then old man winter keeps coming back and showing his ugly face. So today, the sun is in and out. It's really not that warm, but the desert box turtles are warm to touch because they're using the cold frame like the tortoises do to warm themselves up, and then they venture out to forage. So here, they actually don't behave all that differently than an eastern box turtle would. They just require a bit of a different habitat. One with more sun, one with more well-drained soil so that they can create burrows and not drown in them or anything like that. But they still come out and they look for invertebrates to eat. And believe me, when it rains, they absolutely enjoy it. And they tromp around in here just like an eastern box turtle would after a rain. So, box turtle, not a tortoise. However, it is in fact a desert box turtle, and also called the Sonoran box turtle. Keeping these animals outside is all about knowing the species' specific needs. So when it comes to the desert box turtles, we make sure that they have a cold frame or greenhouse. Like I said, we do that for tortoises, but some tortoise species, which also happen to be desert species, are very sensitive. And by knowing that, you can help set them up for success. So what we do here, these are our Libyan Greek tortoise pens. So they have their cold frames, just like the desert box turtles, but they have an additional heat source, and that is a 250 watt brooder lamp that hangs fairly low because these animals really can't take too much wet and cold. And when you're having a spring like we're having right now, it's a nightmare, believe me. But if you do the right things, you can still get the animals outside because being outside is ultimately better for them. So this not only allows them to thermoregulate on these bad days, but it also gives them the opportunity to stay dry and warm even when it's wet. And the tortoises learn them so quickly that before you know it, you don't have to round them up and put them back in again. They see that it's raining, they feel it, they feel the temperature dropping, so they get back to where it's warm. And because this stays closed, dry, warm tortoises. But let's get back to Swift's enclosure because I'm really excited for you guys to see how it turned out. There you go, Swift. Welcome back to being outside. So Swift has this entire pen to himself, and it's not just what you see here in the front. It swings all the way around to our back porch, and he actually will sometimes use the back porch to get out of the heat. But he's got his Zoo Med tortoise house that is equipped with a heating pad inside it. All right, so here is the brand new Zoo Med tortoise house that is fully equipped to protect Swift from the rain and even the cold because we've got the Reptitherm habitat heater installed in here. It's screwed down to the bottom so it can't be moved, and it's only taking up 50% of this. So when Swift is inside this, he can move off it if he wants, especially because on those really bad days, we will be closing the latch so that he stays inside here. Again, nice and dry and warm. But once the season really takes hold like it's supposed to be doing by now, that's when we will not have to do this anymore. He could do this all on his own, but right now we're just gonna kind of be playing games with the weather and seeing how it goes and making sure that he is always safe. And we also have the habitat heater hooked up to this brand new Reptitemp dimming thermostat that Zoo Med makes. And the reason that's important is because it will get hot here quickly. It just seems to snap, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's hot and hot and hot. So what we're gonna want is for that to shut off, and that's what a thermostat does, is it's gonna stop this once it starts getting warm, keep it at a safe temperature. And what's really awesome about that is you can set a day and night cycle. So if you're having really warm days, you can have it stop, and then once the night falls, you can have the heat come back on again if that's what you want the tortoise to have. So really awesome state-of-the-art new stuff that Zoo Med is making. Thank you, Zoo Med. Thank you, Davey, everybody over there, for always taking such good care of us. And I really think Swift is gonna be doing awesome out here. So what we've done, not unlike what we've done for all the other habitats, is we make sure that there's uneven ground. And that's also beneficial to the tortoise, because the tortoise has to work to get around its habitat, which is exactly what it would do in nature. And I know I've said it a lot of times, but you want to prevent muscle atrophy. These animals should have a strong gait. They should be able to completely lift their entire body off the ground, and you can see just how strong Swift is when he walks. It's effortless for him. So we've got boulders in here of different sizes, and of course, a nice, easily drainable desert-like substrate that's made up of sand and gravel and soil, and that's going to help him because you don't want any pooling areas when it comes to housing desert tortoises. There is Mediterranean heather in here, low-lying shrubs and grasses, and various roses like Ragusa rose, and that's stuff that he can eat. We also have raspberry growing in here and knockout rose, so both flowers and leaves are great for him to nibble on. He can eat the grasses, he can eat the heather if he wants, but the nice thing is they don't like to eat that stuff all that often, so they tend to leave them alone once you feed them other things. So we do have to supplement his diet, just like we do everybody here, but it's important to have those edibles in the enclosure that he can walk around grazing on throughout the day, because that promotes natural behavior. And then once nightfall comes, he'll make his way to the Zoo Med tortoise house where he can get into the heat if he needs to, and then when the sun rises, he comes out, he basks, and he gets right back to just enjoying his day as a desert tortoise. He's got 24-hour surveillance on him here because we of course have cameras on him just like everybody else. He's protected from predators, and he's just a big, awesome bruiser tortoise that it's awesome to see him walking around in here because he's exploring, and that's what you want to see them do. Enrichment goes such a long way in benefiting an animal's life.